All right, everyone. Thank you for joining me Sunday morning. We're moving right along with the short conference previews. Today, I have Manchester head coach Dave Beauchemin. Dave, thank you for joining me this morning.
Thanks for having me, Nick.
Give everybody a warning. If his screen freezes, the audio's still good. We just did some test runs, so just to warn everybody. But you guys don't need to see our faces anyway. um, Coach, I want to recap a little bit last season before we get into your roster for this season. Going into the, preseason, season's getting ready to start. Manchester's always, one of the top teams talked about, not just in the shore and the whole state. What was, the mindset and the direction you were trying to get your team to go to start the season?
Well, at the beginning of the year, we had some major pieces back. Obviously with Destiny and everything she did the season prior on that big run, and with Kamari Reynolds and Serenity Anderson. Yeah. So, we really had these three main pieces that we knew were coming back, and a lot of pieces that saw time. And let's say in the way that our schedule was, and pieces got a lot of significant time, but I don't know if it was really in the major moments. Okay. So especially early on in the year, it was really just, absorbing all this talent together, because we were very talented, and just trying to get into a flow of playing together with essentially this new team, because every year the way you evolve, we got to fit all these pieces in there together. And, I would say the first half of our schedule, that's really what it was. How are we figuring each other out? How are we mixing in all this new talent? How are we developing into our new role with a lot of significant minutes being divvied out to a number of girls? And really that first half of the season last year, even through some major tests, we were still kind of learning our new selves, to evolve.
I'm guessing that was probably the case when you played the team from Maryland early on. I mean, you gave, it was a close game. They're pretty good team, and you had a couple freshmen too that were seeing significant minutes, and I guess it was just more of getting the right gel together.
Yeah, when we played St. Francis down in Philly, we had them, and then Montverde from Florida. That is exactly what I'm talking about. As we're finding ourselves, those are tough losses, but they're learning losses. I mean, and the Montverde one is really the one that changed us, the second of those two, because they really stuck it to us. Yeah. And that was in Tom's River, and a place that felt comfortable to us. But that was almost that eye-opening moment where we really did finally kind of come together and adapt to our new roles. But the St. Francis game happening really early on, coming out of the WOBM, where we did play well, and we're able to kind of raise a banner with that. We stepped it up a little bit with that competition, and I wouldn't say we didn't play well. We just weren't fully who we were going to be yet, and a lot of those new faces and new pieces to the big minutes were still gelling into that. And to be honest with you, I'm still figuring out where the rotation lies and where I was going to be with all that as we were growing and evolving. And sometimes, those losses are a result of that.
Just briefly, the WOBM, that third straight, right? Was that the third straight title? What is, that mean, it's disappointing not happening this year where, Destiny could go 4 for 4. But what is it, local tournament, a lot of local teams, what does it mean, winning that 3 straight years?
Yeah, I mean, it was special. It really was. And I wish we had the opportunity. And I know the whole basketball community, especially the WOBM group, knows how special that event is. And I wish we had the opportunity to run it, but we know the differences that we're all facing this year. And for me, in the community that we had, I knew it was special. As you've probably heard from different coaches that you've had on or will have on, as a short conference kid and an Ocean County kid, there is no other place that I would even want to be during the holiday time than playing in a WOBM tournament. And to be able to get the first one, 3 years ago, the title and the MVP for Destiny, as you referenced, all of these significant markers individually and as a program.
Yeah, and, Kevin, they do a great job of running that WOBM every year. Another game, probably, game that, cemented where your team was, Winston-Salem game. Talk a little bit about that game, because they were, where were they ranked? 5th Were they ranked fifth?
Yeah, I mean, throughout a number of the polls, I mean, they
Yeah.
were, let's say they were in the top 10 in any poll that you could find.
Yeah.
You know, and that really was a big win for us going up to the Bronx into the Gauchos gym. And we battled foul trouble. You know, in a lot of those games, I think people from the outside or aren't following us are going to be like, you know, you're going to need everything out of Destiny for those games. And that's what we would think as well. And she spent major portions of that game on the bench, and we threw the kitchen sink at them. That was one of those situations where we made a nice run, and playing in New York, the shot clock helped us. You know, it made the game continue to flow within possession to possession. And I would just say, like, I would have never imagined being able to deal with their size without her the way that we did. You know, that was a major moment. You can tell in the reactions of every girl on the team that meant something. That was a major win. We knew how good they were, and we knew what kind of challenge we were faced with. And, you know, to come out with it was a turning point. It really was. It was everything that I was telling you about those matchups at the beginning of the year, trying to find ourselves and figure that out. It was figured out at that point, and we really had to play within ourselves that day to get that win.
Yeah, that's great, especially, you know, pulling out a win against that team. You know, and, you know, like you said, with Destiny, you know, your star in foul trouble. We'll talk just short conference real quick. You know, you guys, you know, as expected, you went through pretty easily until, you know, you got your rematch, you know, St. John Vianney again, which, you know, everyone was hoping we could run it back this year, you know, best out of three. Just talk a little bit about that St. John Vianney game in the Shore.
I'm sorry, Nick. I think I lost you. I see you back now.
All right. I was just talking about the short St. John Vianney game. You know, the Shore Conference, your team, you know, moved along, you know, as expected. Just talk. You know, what was that? You know, playing St. John Vianney again. You know, for the second time. You know, everybody hoping that we were going to be able to do 2 out of 3 this year. But just talk about that game last year.
Yeah, I mean, as talking about, we were growing. That was a game where we were our team at that point, and you know, in a way, they just outplayed us. They're a great team, great program, you know, and they build upon themselves every year to evolve into the team that they are. I thought defensively they were excellent. They stifled us throughout the whole game. That's a credit to them, and I would say that was not necessarily a testament to our incapability. You know, we have been playing very well going into that. And for us on the other end of the floor, like in a way, the complete game, the way that they were able to function offensively, you know, in a game like that, we did not play championship defense that day, you know, and that's where the gives and takes of competition, was it us or was it them or a little bit of both? You know, they were definitely the better team that day, you know. They did motivate us going forward. I know everything got cut short, but man, the practices following that loss within – talking about our defensive effort and mindset, we became a new group when we started that sectional tournament run following that. You know, and like you said, you know, who knows if it will be us and them again this year, you know, but I know that certainly the end game of that tournament is on everyone's calendar, hoping that we can get there. You know, and I know that we're one of those talented teams that has that in our mindset, you know, as a goal for us. And whatever 2 teams for the Shore that can get there to represent Shore Conference basketball, I know that's going to be a special day at the end of the season.
Yeah. Just real quick, you know, we'll talk state. Like you said, you know, you guys went through states. You went South Jersey Group 2, and then, you know, you face Manasquan again, you know, in the semis, and you know, you win, you know, everyone said, you know, Manasquan was a younger team, but you guys, you know, like you said, your team, you know, came together after that loss and played some really good defense. What did it, you know, you guys get the call, you finished that game, and then what, 2 days later, the season end? What was the reaction, you know, with the team? And, you know, I'm sure it was disappointment, you know, when they found out the season was ending.
Yeah. So, you know, the world in a way was like shutting down around us, you know, and to try to stay present in a moment, I can tell you what in my mind at that time, I was just trying to take it one day at a time. You know, like we were the Sunday matchup, so we actually had a 2-day window, I believe it was, you know, in between, and you know, so when we're in school on that Friday and the full shutdown happens, every range of emotion is touching you, because there's no script for something like that to say, we're going to hit this global pandemic. Society is going to shut down. We're in this bubble of here we go again. We're trying to win another group title, and we were present of the outside world. And I was so conscious that could happen. You're just hoping it won't. We're at a minimum. Like, can we just get to Sunday? Can we get this game in? And I will tell you, there was tremendous sadness as far as the closures and the shutdowns. But I'll be lying to you if I would say I didn't understand it. Where we were at, I completely understood that was real and that was what we needed to do. I felt for those seniors that it ended that way more than any of the other kids, because it did feel for all of them, but more for them because of the change and the impact that they have for our program in such a positive light. To not have that opportunity to close that out. But, it was something that we all just lived together, and we had no idea what was coming in front of us, and the game ends and it's like school in person ends and all these changes are happening on the fly that, it really didn't settle in until a little bit while down the road, where it was like, man, all that just kind of was taken from us, and every other team that was still in the running at that time. It's just something that we hope none of us will ever have to go through again.
Now, speaking of that, what are some of the challenges you're facing as a coach, and players are facing, as we're getting ready to start the season, dealing with COVID. Players have to work hard to stay healthy without worrying about a pandemic, but now you're throwing this on that. What are some of the challenges?
Yeah, I mean, we're just going to try to take it one day at a time. As far as and the talk that we're going to have tomorrow is hopefully we can start to create our own little bubble. The social aspect of the high school life has changed anyway. And as much as it's minimized for all of them, it's got to minimize again.
Yeah.
And I know we've talked as a staff and in the building about all the cleanliness aspects, the hand sanitizers, and being able to clean all of our equipment on a daily basis, and being able to stay within this realm of social distancing the best that we can while we're still trying to prepare for everything that we have. It's going to be a difficult challenge. It really is. The one thing that I will tell you is I think we've got a good plan in place from day one because of all the things that we're learning through the hybrid model of school. And it's just going to have to evolve every day. We're going to have to get better at it every single day as we go. Tomorrow, we have our starting point, but I think we're going to grow on the way that we're going to control and adapt to this, from that point on. And then every day we just got to get better at it. And the message needs to be clear within each other that this needs to grow to be the most important thing for us. And that is going to be difficult. It is going to be difficult. And, I hope we personally as a program, but within the Shore, I hope we can get through this thing unscathed, and that's what everyone's hoping for, to play these 15 games at a minimum,
Yeah. It's tough, condensed season too. And I think it was Dawn who said it, or just shortest season, but it's going to feel like the longest season, coaching and playing. And, I talked to a lot of soccer coaches, and that was after the season. They said this was the shortest season, but it was the longest season.
Yeah, I know we usually kind of refer to it as like being patient. It's a marathon and this. And I've actually said to my staff the other day, like for the first time, this is a sprint. Yeah. We have an 8-week sprint. Mm-hmm. We have that first week of practice. That second one ends with the scrimmage. So we get into week 3. There are 6 straight weeks of nonstop basketball right to the end. It's the shortest window we would ever have in this competitive nature, but you got to be ready for it in a way right now. You got to be ready right now to get the whole thing in.
Now, I want to talk a little bit of the roster. You lost a couple, very talented seniors. Obviously, everyone knows Destiny's the leader of the team, but who else do you expect to take over, from Kamari's leadership role this season?
Yeah, well, in a way, to do that, we can talk class by class. You mentioned Destiny in the senior class. I think it's almost self-explanatory what she brings to the table and what we're going to want and need from her in this short run. But, Morgan Brustman as a senior, a tremendous amount of experience. Leading into this year now, I think it's every bit of the opportunity that she wants, and we're expecting her to have a solid year. And when we talk leadership, you need to look to your seniors first. What she brings to the table daily as far as her practice effort and mindset and her knowledge of the game, it's something that we need to rub off on everyone that's younger than her. So she's the next one that we're going to be asking a lot of and expecting big things. And those two taking the bulk of it as seniors for what we're going to do this year. So that's going to be important for the two of them, let's just say, to play their role the way that we know that they're capable of. In our junior class, Amaya Bray picked up a lot of experience last year as a sophomore as far as significant minutes and role. She did get time as a freshman, and the way that our schedule was and the way we were able to play, she did get significant minutes, but it just wasn't the same as what she got last year. We've seen her evolving, and we're going to be expecting her to play a major role for us this year. I'll even tell you, we got to get on the floor for us to start to define roles better for each other, as any team would and any good team would. But we're going to be expecting big things from her as an upperclassman this year. And in the same light from that junior class, Maya Horgan, she has been steadily progressing. And, as an upperclassman, as a junior, I know she wants a bigger role, and we're going to be asking a bigger role out of her. She can do many things. She came in, she has shot the ball consistently since she was a freshman, but we saw an evolution in her last year on the defensive end. I think before we grow, going into tomorrow, I know we're going to be asking a lot of her defensively. And you need players like that and pieces like that to win championships, and that's a goal of ours this year. So that's going to be something that is going to be big of her. And I know the offensive game for her is there. And as we move through things, I think that's going to come. But I know from day one, we're going to be asking her to take on a big defensive role, and it's going to be important. Our sophomore class, we got a young lady in the sophomore class that was on our roster last year as a freshman, Sadie Philippe, but was not big in minutes or experience, that I was really happy with the very small window of the summer that we had. I was really happy with the summer that she had, and we're hoping that she can take on a role, and as I say, taking on a role within the junior class, another young lady, Alyssa Carino, to me, on the outside and individual workouts and training, she's worked her tail off to be in the position that she's in this year to kind of fulfill a role for us. And as a staff, we're excited to see what kind of role she can take on, because you need pieces and you need depth as you go through the season. So Alyssa is going to be someone we're hoping that can take on some of that depth and take some minutes for us when needed, but I can close that with a freshman that we'd have in Devin Quigley, that I think she expects big things out of herself, and we're going to expect big things out of her as well as a staff. Where that goes and what we can get out of a freshman, I think every single day this week we're going to know more. I think the sky's the limit for her, as a freshman and what we can ask, but you don't know until you hit the floor. She did have a good summer for us in that small window that we did have at the Point Pleasant League, and I was excited to see what she did, and I'm excited to work with her. This summer was different. We had a smaller coaching window. It was not the same. I'm really excited to start coaching these kids into what we want our system to be this year and what we want to be, and she's a major piece of it already as a freshman.
Yeah, that's good. One thing I wanted to ask about Destiny, and this is something, I noticed as, neutral fan, her maturity level from her sophomore year to junior year was like, it was amazing. Like I said to one coach, it was like sophomore year, if there was a bad call against her or something, she would start, express her displeasure with the ref. And last year, the games I was at, there was times where she probably should have expressed her displeasure. She kind of gets bugged underneath, and she just, kept a cool head this year. And I thought that was like night and day. What do you say about, that transformation from her sophomore to junior year?
Yeah, I mean, we saw it as a staff significantly as well. Not only, the maturity level and the aspect of the way she can handle everything. And sometimes, let's say as a freshman or a sophomore, some of those things that she did maybe were noticed more because she is in the spotlight.
Yeah,
exactly. And she's young, she's a kid too, and she's matured a great deal. We asked her to do so many more things last year inside because she's capable of it, not even necessarily because it's her natural position, and like you said, I mean, there are times she just gets mugged in there, and you can see the amount of time she went to the free throw line last year almost doubled or tripled from her sophomore year, and it could have been more. And that's one of those things, being able to keep her composure, because I would say to you, we have excellent officiating in the short conference, but on the flip side of that, sometimes being bigger and that presence on the defensive end, even as a staff, we feel like she's getting killed on one end, and how could that be a foul against her on the other end? You know what I mean? And it's just, the light is always on her, and this year's going to be no different. You know what I mean? And the composure that she has showed, where she's going to probably need to take another step in that again this year, as far as being able to handle those situations, but she's capable of it. She's experienced a lot of basketball in a lot of different realms, and it's all just pieces, and things that she has in her tool belt.
Last, before we start wrapping up, just want to talk, your schedule. I mean, I know, what did they redo the divisions 3 or 4 times since January? I understand, they're trying to keep the schools closed, but what's your feeling? I mean, it's not a tough division for you. I mean, to me, Jackson Liberty has some talent, but and Point Borough is a tough team. But what's your thoughts on the schedule? I know that Dawn made quite a few comments of the schedule when I interviewed her.
It was tough because I understand logistics came into play, and I know our district was hoping those logistics did come into play. The only thing I guess I would say against it, I think a group of coaches could have banged their heads together and probably got a couple of solid Ocean County divisions together. But I guess in a way, there's always going to be one of us that felt left out, right? If that was the case. And, there's no knock to the teams that are in our pod, it's some of these traditional teams that we would play. I got great respect for those coaches and what they do for those programs. I agree with you completely. Jackson Liberty showed a major leap in improvement last year, and I think they're going to take another leap this year, a second year into that staff. The one thing about that pod that it did do, being the smallest one, we were able to pick up 4 out-of-pod games. So we did the best we could, abiding by, in the beginning, what we can logistically, as far as the county goes. So we have Toms River North, Jackson, Memorial, and Donovan that we did pick up. And then that 4th one, is outside of the county within RBC. We were able good games. Which we feel good about. And we were able to utilize the 4x4 switch within a pod. So our Barnegat game originally scheduled on the pod is now going to be Manasquan.
Oh, okay.
So, I think within the rules and the guidelines that they gave us, we did the best we could to strengthen it up and to beef it up. I know the last few years we've been playing a very regionalized schedule, which has been a great experience for the girls. I know sometimes it leaves out some of those great in the middle of the season matchups with another short conference team, because we know how great the short conference is. But, I just felt as I was making those schedules those years, the opportunity was there to play these games and travel and do that and use this as team experience. And I felt that might not arise again. So as the opportunities there, we took it. So this year, we use those 4 opportunities to get into the short conference in the best matchups that we could that fit in our schedule, in the open date, having essentially a bye week in the schedule. That's where Jackson, Memorial, and Donovan are filling that bye week that we had. So we have 2 games in that week. And then we were able to fit in Toms River North and RBC as far as those pickups within the weeks that we would already have. And that flip with Manasquan, so Barnegat and Ocean will play, and we're going to play Manasquan, was really a big pickup. I think for all the programs, we all benefit from that in what we are doing. And I'm excited about what we have in front of us. In a way, if all 15 we have on paper are going to happen, we did the best we can with the schedule we have, and we're going to be ready to attack it.
I didn't know they allowed that. That's good though, that they allowing you to switch if it works to get a more competitive. That I mean, that's a pretty good schedule. That would be equivalent, to playing a regular, your normal, when you play your out of division teams. Speaking of, you picking up regional games, and I talked to Bob at TCA after you guys played, because I couldn't make it to that event, and he had nothing but praise for the team, for Destiny. He was very impressed. So, I mean, that's also a plus when a program like yours get to play teams like that, the top teams in the state, and travel around to play some of these national teams.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. Like I said, it was great for the girls. And as you would say, even with TCA, I mean, what a game that was. I mean, that was the day after we went to the Bronx and beat Winston-Salem. So, yeah. I mean, as I just said to you there, we were the team that we were. They outplayed us that day. You know what I mean? That's an excellent team. Like that TCA game, they were an excellent team, well-coached team, and we just got outplayed that day. I mean, when good basketball teams meet up, someone's got to be the better team on a given day, and that's what that was. And those experiences that we had, it was kind of interesting. My staff and I, we talked about when we set those schedules up, and I wouldn't want it any other way or change it, but we're a Group 2 New Jersey public school playing all these parochials or academies and all of these. You can't find – there are not many public schools that were able to do that, and that's another reason why, like I said, within experience, that's why I wanted that. In that schedule while we were capable. And I knew that it was going to test us the right way. Destiny gives us good size and versatility for some of these sure things that we do. In those matchups, my goodness, are we tiny.
Coach, I wish you luck, and hopefully, people are hoping by maybe mid-season some fans, a couple fans. I feel bad for the senior parents. That's who I feel bad for.
I do as well. It's it is going to be a bizarre kind of experience in an empty gym. And proudly, I will say we've grown to the point as a program where our gym filled up more and more. And, the energy and the atmosphere it's a part of athletics.